working since 2016 and are here for one more year. And during the process of trying to assess how we could develop some type of volunteer service center, we had several conversations with them, and in the last year they have agreed to kind of take this out as a project, which they typically don't do. And they're willing to donate over $500,000 in labor to build the volunteer service center. We talked about how important the cooperation between the volunteer service center through the long-term recovery and the Office of Emergency Management collaboration is. So we asked if there was a way they could include the Office of Emergency Management in that building. And so they actually had one of their Amish groups who had a licensed architect draw up the blueprints that you have in front of you. And this is a building that we're proposing to go forward and build. This is an opportunity that we are only going to have this year. The Mennonites will be gone as of the fall of the coming year. They won't be coming back. They typically only stay in a community for a year, and so we've been very fortunate to keep them here for this will be the third year. And they typically don't do buildings like this. And so our commitment, the Pine Ridge Long-Term Recovery and the VOAD commitment, was to try to find partners to help fund this, because we recognize that the tribe has limited resources. So we have been able to secure funding for the supplies that we'll need to build the building, accessible, and a prime location for Office of Emergency Management. And so Steve has been researching what those would be, and he's talked to a number of different groups throughout the last year. He's identified two primary land pieces that he thinks would be the best location for the Office of Emergency Management to be at. And one of them is by the airport and one of them is by the ambulance service. Part of that is for ease of delivery of supplies, if they're in search or rescue or the different things that might need to happen, to be able to have that accessible and be centralized and available. The Volunteer Service Center portion of the building is a back half of the building, so the Emergency Operations Center or the Emergency Management Center would be the front part of the building. That would be totally secure from the Volunteer Service Center. The Volunteer Service Center would be ran by the Pine Ridge Long-Term Recovery. The building would be owned by Pine Ridge Long-Term Recovery group. And the only commitment that the tribe would need to make is that the Office of Emergency Management would be located in the front part of that building. That would be their location, their area for storage, all their ability to operate and function there. And we would ask that the money that they've now put towards utilities and maintenance go toward utilities and maintenance of that building. And so it's not going to increase any of the costs that you have right now for your current program for Office of Emergency Management, but will give them a decent space to operate out of. The space also includes a cold storage area and a shop area for the equipment, such as the trucks, ATVs, or any other equipment you might end up getting in the year to come, to be housed inside so they're not damaged by the weather. It would also offer an opportunity for them to be able to set up an emergency operations center quickly and keep that in a secure location, and to aid in the process of building that infrastructure that's so important when you're responding to a disaster. And it would give them that quick connection to the Volunteer Service Center behind to help get in groups to help do the debris cleanup, the repair work, and other work that would go on. One of the things I want to make sure that the council is aware of is that the Volunteer Service Center has the ability to house 50 to 60 volunteers, but at no time can it be used as a shelter for people, general people, to stay at. And part of that is because when you have an emergency, that really needs to be a closed system, so you don't have people interrupting the operations or interfering with the operations. And so that would be used only for the Office of Emergency Management staff if they needed to stay there and house the Operations Center 24/7, and for the Volunteer Service Center staff, or the long-term recovery staff, if they had to stay there and operate the center 24/7. But if you look at the proposal, it outlines pretty much everything I said in detail, and the importance of what this can mean to your community. If we're not able to secure land by the middle of April, we won't be able to have the Mennonites commit to do it, because they need to start the groundwork and cement work at the end of April. They have a team already secured to come in and do the entire building, and they'll have that done by the time summer hits. So I guess at this time, I'm open for questions.
Thank you. Councilman Jumping Eagle.
This is a great plan that you've come up with, but for me, my only issue is location. Because this last storm, there's about 3 or 4 districts who would agree with me that we got the shuts over on the east side. So I mean, I'm okay with this. It's just the location. That's my only issue, is to be more centralized.
I would like to respond to that, if I could. That is one thing that we have noticed over the last 3 years, is that a majority of the services are coming out of the Pine Ridge area, the city proper, and that transportation and travel is quite difficult for some of the work that needs to be done. So we are in the process of working with the districts to identify shelter centers and dispatch centers in each of those areas. And I know for this particular disaster, they'd used the CAP offices. We've also talked to some of the nonprofits that are located out there to see if there could be sub-sites that could offer support services for that type of work as it goes forward. You know, we're not going to be able to do it all in a year, but there are some plans, and this is really a plan that Steve had come up with in regards to trying to get the districts having an area available for that type of work as well. I don't know if that helps with that part of it. Steve, did you want to say anything more to that?
Councilman Jumping Eagle, did you have anything for that? Councilman Jumping Eagle? No. Councilwoman Bearkiller.
I guess I had the same concern too. Is you know, by time the east side, our districts needed the help that was all available. All the equipment was down. We had very little help out there, and so I'm like him. You know, if we're gonna support something like this, it seems like it should be centrally located, or there's a resolution coming where we're going to create one for the east side, similar to what is on the west side. And we do need the equipment out there. And by the time we were asking for graders and all this, we were told it's broke down. They're broke down. You know, we had we have a resolution after resolution for road repair from our district too, and we still didn't get to those. So the need, you know, to have this is good, but at the same time, I think we need to be fair on how many how services get out there in the eastern districts too.
Councilman Yellowhawk.
I'm gonna mention the same thing. I'm located way on the east end, and it's like I mentioned before, it's a trickle-down assistance that we're getting down there. It's really disheartening when we had to wait. We're the last ones to get any type of assistance. Thank goodness we were able to help ourselves with our neighbors, and they came forward with us. We need something out there. We need a satellite office at least, the way at the end, and come back. You know, we should start from east end, west side, come together. We should have an office out there. And there's a lot of population out there. There's a lot of people living out in rural areas out there. And they just need as much assistance as everybody else on the res. So that's I want to reiterate what the council members stated. So we do need to have some assistance. Go ahead.
Ms. Garcia.
Hi, so I'm going to put in my recommendation on this. Initially, Steve doesn't have a proper setup here at the tribe, and he needs access to the administration. By having it set up here in the Pine Ridge and having that access to administration, we need to properly set him up first. And I do agree with you all need a sub-satellite building to house equipment, etc. And that can come down the road, But right now, initially, to get Steve properly set up with the equipment here, with the housing, the Emergency Operations Center is truly, truly important. That's the first thing we look to in regards to a command center. He doesn't have that. He needs a place to work and actually get the people and the volunteers working out of. If we initially get that set up, we do have other grants and programs that can assist in setting up district offices and sub-satellites. So if we were to look at getting this done first, and then I will work with Steve in regards to grants and other things to help set up district offices of emergency management, so you do have access to the equipment and to the supplies.
Thank you. Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
Okay, thank you. I think that this whole proposal is a really good idea, and I think we need to move forward on it. Eventually, we need to set a site so that we would have a centrally located emergency management office that will work with the eastern and western side. But I'm going to motion to forward this to the Land Committee so that the Land Committee, you guys can decide where this could help Steve in putting this at. But I think it needs to be done. It sounds like they need to have something done.
By the middle
right,
of April.
by when?
Middle of April.
Middle of April. So could we do that? You guys could find that because they need
Jim
to act
Meeks?
on it. Jimmy?
Mr. Meeks.
Running a motion over here.
Give a pen, I mean a paper clip.
Can we put a timeline down?
Yes.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
No.
Nikina Mills,
Yes.
13 yes, 1 no. Motion carried. Councilwoman Wardanian.
Can I invite up Ms. Trudy Eckerfe to give the report on the other portion of this, the water?
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for allowing me this time to speak for you on our program. I am Trudy Eckerfe. I am the Tribal Liaison for the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. I have a sub-office in Pine Ridge, and our main office is located out of Martin. Most of the Land Committee is familiar with what we do, primarily as NRCS, is work with livestock producers mostly on pipelines, wells, fencing, things of this nature, but we do have other programs that assist in emergency measures. And one of them is our watershed emergency program. And this might be something very beneficial to the tribe right now. And it does not mean you have to be a livestock owner or anything like that to apply for this program. What you do need is to have tribal support. And right now I could take this forward to our state conservationist with a letter, but let me explain a little bit about some of the things this might cover. Like FEMA, we could pay up to 75% on some of the structures like culverts, cleaning out of stream areas because of the flooding. Could do some repairing of roads. It could not necessarily, again, like FEMA, we could not do BIA roads or county roads, but we could possibly cover some of the culverts that have been blown out on those roads. Would have a right-of-way on them. And a couple of other things that have to consider in this program, I mean, if it's tribal land, which we're working on, the tribe would have to sign off on it. If it's allotted land, the majority of the allottees would have to give permission to be able to do something on that lines. And we could also do stuff on fee lands as well, but of course that would have to go underneath whoever the owner is, and we would have to have documentation of ownership of that land, because we would have to enroll it into the USDA program under what we call a farm card. We kind of use that word loosely, but just as a way of USDA keeping track of land or areas that are enrolled in USDA programs. And some of the things that it would cover, as I mentioned, were like repairing culverts or bridges. Would also look at clearing out maybe culverts, some road improvements, depending on what that is. We did a quick initial assessment with our engineer, our area engineer out of Rapid City last Wednesday, and he did a report, and it obviously we all know what the situation is out there. He sent that up to our state conservationist, and now I need letters of support to further let some of this money go. Bennett County commissioners are actually applying on their own over for Bennett County, which would, take care of some of the state land there. But this would actually could cover trust land in Bennett County, Jackson County, of course in Oglala, Lakota County. Some of the other things to think about before supporting this is someone would have to come up with that 25% cost. It could be like FEMA, in kind, so documentation of volunteer work, or if it's the roads departments that possibly helping with a project, that they are documenting their time, their fuel, that kind of thing. If it's an individual, the same thing, they would have to document. The other thing to consider on this project or program would be that some individual applications, community, district, or the tribe itself as a whole could apply. How that application process is, I'm not quite clear yet, but this is as all of our NRCS programs are, it's a reimbursement project. So we'd have an engineer that would come out, assess the damage, give recommendations and designs for the improvement, and then probably put a cost to it. The tribe or the individual or whoever's doing the work could hire their own contractors to come in and do the improvements. Like FEMA, it's not a quick fix. We tried to do our project. It's another thing to think about with this project or doing a letter of support for it. I did talk to Chairman Bearrunner's office.
Awesome.
Assistance or tie-in for applications with USDA, will that affect the FEMA, any support or anything coming down from FEMA?
No, I'm still trying to get a bearing on what her program is, and what they're doing, but it would not interfere with anything we're doing.
Except to say we won't duplicate benefits. If they're going to do something, we're not going to also do it.
Yeah.
And also on that, because we can't match federal funds to federal funds in our program, I'm sure they can't either. But however, if there's money coming down through the tribe and that pays for 25% of that match, that's a possibility. But it'd have to run through the tribe. We couldn't directly take it from FEMA to pay, the 25% match. So.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bear-Keller.
I guess I'm supporting this because with this last storm, if you go down through Yellow Bear and you look at No Flesh, there's houses up on top and then our whole bottom is water. So I think that programs like this need to come in and clear out the culverts or whatever it is, that's blocking this. It should have went straight down into where it should be going. But something, is blocking all this water. So it's it's there. And this is like the One Horn area. Well, out in our area too, there's water that should be draining properly and it's not doing it. So I guess for me, Thank you.
Councilman Greenwald.
Chair, these guys are out there and there's a way and things dry up, the earth soaks up the water, and there's certain things that dry faster in certain areas. The elements all play into this. But what our emergency manager has told us over and over again is when you guys call and interfere with their daily work and stop what they're doing, things like culverts don't get done. They don't get cleared like they're supposed to. All of our culverts were scheduled to be done. But when council people and different people call and constantly stop their scheduled stuff, this is the kind of stuff that happens. So remember that when you guys are calling and telling them what to do, and there's a way things have to work. They can't just come and do a road if it's still underwater. They can't do certain things if it's still sogging wet. They can't do that. You have to be patient. And I know you guys are telling that. I'm telling that to people too, but you guys have got to remember that.
Thank you, Councilman Greenwald. Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that we also need to understand that we were told by the governor's tribal liaison that we need to work through the emergency manager. So that's, I think, the reason why a lot of us do call him, and we do have to address a lot of the things that were going on during the blizzard. And so I think with that, I also want to say that, God, it just slipped my mind what I was gonna ask. But you know, what kind of concerns me is that do your culverts. They're the ones that clear those culverts. And I think that came from Mr. Long. And so, you know, under road maintenance, they get dollars to do that. For the BIA, but so we need to make sure that a lot of these culverts that are getting, you know, swept away by the floods and all of this. See, we still got to go back. We, as a EB&D committee, have a meeting on April 12th. Here is what the chair was telling me earlier, and we're just going to be dealing with transportation. And I think at that time, we would like to see what they have as part of their plan in this recovery effort. And so we need to look at that piece of it about the culverts and the cleaning and all of this. So there's still other funding pieces that go along with the culverts. So we need to look at that too. So, and this part here, again, you know, like he said, we can't duplicate services. So whatever we put on there as a tribe, or we utilize the USDA, then they're not going to be able to come in and do that piece. So we'll have to be solely dependent on them if we go along with them to do certain parts of the recovery effort.
Thank you. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Jim Meeks. Dwayne Yellowhawk.
Yes.
Garfield Apple.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller. James Cross. Sonia Little Hawk Weston.
Ha.
Craig Dillon.
Yes.
Valerie Janice.
Yes.
Valentina Mardanian.
Uh-huh.
Ryan Jumping Eagle.
Yes.
Bo Little White Man.
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson.
Yes.
Richard Greenwald.
Yes.
Nikina Mills.
Yes.
14 yes, unanimous, motion carried. Next, Prairie Wind Casino, Councilwoman Bearkiller.
President, is there any possibility that you could assign one of your office staff to help monitor so that this duplication don't happen, and that work that needs to be done can be given through your office to these entities that we're approving today?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
Councilman Wilson.
I think with FEMA saying they wouldn't do the BIA roads, I think maybe we need to have the superintendent give us an update on any funding available to fix, because our highway system is falling apart if you've been on any of them. I know Cooney Table I come across, it's really bad. Down there by Porcupine, East of Con may be available through the BIA to fix the BIA roads.
Okay, we'll call him up as soon as let's get the casino done.
Okay, this one should be short and sweet. If Davey start doing that time clock, 2 minutes. But on tribal council, this resolution was presented at the last meeting, a regular session, but It got 2/3 because we didn't, I guess we really didn't have, I guess the word was analytics. So I guess Bill will explain that portion so we can go and proceed with the purchase of these 16 new Aristocrat Class 3 slot machines. So you want me to go ahead and have the secretary read the resolution, or?
Yes, Councilman Cross. Councilwoman Mardinian.
Councilman Cross, I think the tabling motion was because we wanted to know if it's going to be more cost-effective to lease versus purchasing. And I think that was the information we were requesting, and it go back to EB&D, get all the information, and then to bring it forward to council. So I guess with that, the resolution, it doesn't reflect.
Back to committee again, and the reason why we're 2/3 is because there's 30 days. After 30 days, it's null and void. It can't be for another couple of years. But I'll turn it over to Bill, but however you want to proceed, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, that's a lease to purchase. There's no such thing as indefinite lease on these machines. It has to be a lease to purchase over a period of time. And if you look at that, we did a kind of analysis, and there's more than enough revenue to generate to make the monthly payments. In addition, there'll be revenue on top of that, about $50,000. And the other option I got is participation. I could go 80-20 with these companies, and I don't need council approval for that. But the bottom line is I got to get machines on the floor. I can't leave unoccupied space in the casino, such as the deli. I think that might be in violation of the loan agreement with Shakopee. But that is a lease to purchase these machines for a period of 18 months.
Thank you, Mr. Poirier. Madam Secretary, read the resolution, please.
Resolution of the the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approving the general manager of the Prairie Winds Casino to purchase 16 new Aristocrat Class 3 slot machines. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14th, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, and under Article 3 of the Constitution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas Article 4, Section 1F of the Constitution of the Oglala Sioux Tribe authorizes the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council to manage all economic affairs and enterprises of the Oglala Sioux Tribe enterprise, as well as oversight of certain activities. And whereas Article 4, Section 1T of the Constitution gives the Tribal Council the power to delegate its enumerated powers to subordinate boards or officers, reserving the right to review their actions taken by virtue of such delegated power. And whereas the Economic and Business Development Committee is a standing committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council and has been delegated the power to oversee economic and business development matters on behalf of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council, including certain oversight of the Prairie Winds Casino enterprise. And whereas the Prairie Winds Casino leadership team permanently closed the deli because of zero profits and decided to replace the deli with a Starbucks style of coffee shop with additional, approved the purchase of 16 new Class 3 slot machines from Aristocrat to occupy the square footage in the old deli area and increase casino revenue. March 24th, 2019, the existing Aristocrat slot machines generated net revenue of $150 per gaming day, meaning 16 new Aristocrat slot machines will generate an established $2,400 per day in net revenue to cover the monthly payment for 18 months. And whereas the Prairie Winds Casino desires to purchase 16 new Class 3 slot machines from Aristocrat for $356,000 to $525.50 at approximately $19,806 per month for 18 months. And whereas such costs exceeds the $75,000 procurement authority of the Prairie Winds Casino General Manager and requires tribal council approval. And whereas on March 22nd, 2019, by motion vote, the Economic and Business Development Committee approved the purchase of 16 new Class 3 slot machines from Aristocrat, as attached hereto and submitted to the Tribal Council for approval. And whereas the Tribal Council agrees with the foregoing recommendation of the Economic and Business Development Committee, now therefore be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council hereby approves the purchase of 16 new Aristocrat Class 3 slot machines in the amount of $356,525.50 over a period of 18 months as set forth in the attachment hereto, in order to occupy the Old Delhi area to enhance casino revenue. Certification.
Motion. I have a motion and a second. Motion by Councilman Dillon, second by Councilman Apple. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Jim Meeks,
Yes.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Valerie Janice,
Yes.
Valentino Mardanian,
Here.
Ryan Jumping Eagle,
Yes.
Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chancey Wilson,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nikina Mills,
No.
12 yes, 2 no, motion carried.
Thank you, Tribal Council. I'll turn it over to Bill and he'll explain the hotel issue.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding the hotel, we've been moving and working on this project for 2 years to replace this hotel. As you know, the conditions of this hotel is deteriorating. I have it reviewed every 4 months to make sure the structure's in place, but I'm getting concerned about it now because it was 6 months, now it's 4 months they want to review it. In Shakopee, we did a lot of work. I paid about $200,000 in architectural fees so far. And the sticking point at this point is the construction contractor. And Shakopee is recommending Rango. And as you know, they're the lender. If we don't accept what they want to go by, pretty much it's over. I mean, they dictate to us, I'm sorry to say that, but they have the money. If we go outside to a commercial bank, you probably can't find a bank that'll lend us $14 million or more. And it's difficult to find other tribes. We tried that with a tribe in Alabama. That didn't work out. And like I said, this won't be a new loan. We'll basically re-amortize the existing loan, which is a lot easier. And the payments should remain the same, the security remain the same, and so forth. And also, we don't have to commit any assets to this loan. That's the luxury of it. But in order to continue, we got to go with this existing contractor called Rango out of Rapid City. That's what they want. And this is all communicated to me by the tribal consultant, Tom Ranfranz, Shakopee. If we delay it, we're not going to be able to do anything for another 2 years. The reason why is they committed all their funding, and we're part of that, they want to commit to. But if we don't, all their funding is going to go to their existing casino because they want to expand on the Mystic Lake. So time is of the essence. We can't delay. We just have to continue moving forward. But again, the council will have the last say in the final approval on the agreement, the loan agreement, when it's finalized. It'll be presented to this body in addition to the hotel. So you still have a say in the final decision, the council. What I can do, just to be up to date on what the hotel is going to look like, it was already presented to EB&D, I think, a week ago, the design and so forth. I can always bring that here and show the council perhaps the next meeting so you can see what's going on. But as it stands now, I'd like to continue moving forward, and if I have the support of this council, I can, contact Richard and say, okay, we got a deal, let's go. So I need that decision made today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Poyer. Councilman Apple.
Bill, who was the contractor that made this one, as it is now?
As I understand, it was called Pesca out of Sioux Falls. I don't know if they longer exist. That's history. That was before my time. As we all know, there was a lot of flaws, there was a lot of things that weren't done that should have been done in terms of the foundation and so forth. But that's all I know.
Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
I think I brought up to the EB&D committee that Mr. Rangel did come through at one time. I can't remember how many years ago that was, but we came through and did a walkthrough with him because they asked him if he would come in and kind of look at the structure and look at the foundation, see what he could do to help. And I think it might have been during, I don't know if it was back in during President Tubal's administration. So he did offer to come in and look at it, but he was not the one that built the hotel or the casino. It was Pesca that did that. So, but he was willing to come in and do that. I think the concern that some of the committee had was that if you look at it, it's like a sole source contract, but at the same time, when you're held to the people that are going to fund it, they're the ones saying, well, if you don't use this person, then we'll just pull out. So it kind of doesn't really give us enough to stand on. Otherwise, if we don't agree to it, I guess what Bill told us is that we'd have to wait another couple more years before they would help fund anything for us. So I think that's why we wanted it to come to the full council. But at the same time, I'm sure that, and I don't know how the council feels, but if he had the contract, then he would subcontract with at least give business to our local contractors, if we looked at it that way too.
Thank you, Mr. Puyer.
Well, one other thing, what was communicated to me, I guess Rangel has a lot of experience in building hotels. He built a nursing home, and I think he's done a lot of work for the Shakopee. That's probably one of the reasons why they trust him, his company, to do this job. So in terms of due diligence, that's what I know so far, is that he does have a lot of experience in building hotels, and he built a nursing home for the Shakopees. I think he's done other work for the Shakopees as well.
Thank you. So we need Councilman Dillon.
I really have nothing against Mr. Rangel or the work he does, or he does pretty good work and everything, but we have contractors here on this reservation that could do this. And when we sole source like this, and that's my opinion that it's sole sourced, it does rile them up. So I would like to include in there that the majority of the contractors be from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. And, we built that Justice Center out there, and we had guys out of Colorado, we had guys out of Texas and everything out there getting the majority of those contracts. And that really bit us in the butt because of, we still have issues out there that ain't been resolved because those guys come in, did the work, and left. And this way, we can have our contractors do it so we can hold them accountable and they can hold us accountable by allowing them to work there. So that would be my motion to approve this, but all of our, the majority of our contractors, be it concrete work, sheet rock, whatever, have to be from the reservation. All subcontractors. Yeah.
Okay, I got a motion by Councilman Dillon, second by Council.
Apparently Shakopee is really watching their dollars by saying, okay, we'll give you $14 million, but you must use this contractor. But there's nothing to say that they will use a lot of our contractors on the reservation to working with this project. If I give you $14 million, I want to make sure it's done good too. And that's the practical, logical reason why they're doing that, I believe. And they're probably looking at this facility that is not built very good. And finding that out, they say, okay, I want to make sure you have a good facility and get it done right. Maybe that's a practical reason why they did that. And logically, they want to protect their assets too. So I can understand a lot of these things, but we also need to put in there that we need to use a lot of our contractors on the reservation for other projects within this overall project that we're proposing. So I would support that.
Councilwoman Beckler.
Okay, I guess, I was I just got on EB&D, but I wanted to know, like, the numbers on the cost. What is the total debt? Is that on our resolution? I don't have no resolution in front of me. I don't got no document. And then the other part is there insurance on this building today that could cover this new hotel coming in? I think we need to know the cost of this whole.
We don't like to motion to table until next council meeting. We get all the documentation and the budgets and looking how it's going to impact our allocation. So with that, that's my motion.
Mr. Poirier.
This has no bearing on the allocation. This is a separate thing. We need to remember that this loan is based on what do you call it? Equity that's been paid into the existing loan. And of course, it's well above the $14 million. This is the estimate on the contract itself. And I said before, the council has the final say on this agreement. You'll get to see all the numbers and so forth, the projections. And the projections now that were made by Shakopee, this new hotel will bring an additional $1.3 million in revenue to this property, which is an increase in revenue. So that's more than enough to cover the district allocations and then some. So we cannot wait, council. I mean, we just got to move forward because we got to hit that May 12th, I believe it is, general council meeting. It has to go to them, and some of us from the EB&D need to attend that meeting. Then once that's approved, then that document there will come here to this body for final approval. Then you get to see all your numbers and so forth. Thank you.
Councilwoman Beckler.
Okay, so I guess to bring the resolution and the document should have been here. I mean, we say that, you guys all say that, every document that, or every issue that comes up. I think it should have been in front of us. And the treasurer ultimately should make a report on the payback plan on this. And I think that it probably won't affect their allocations, but I know the last 2 years, I heard that the casino is not making their payment. It's not making the payment. And so that's what I wanted to clarify. I didn't think it was going to be here this soon, but if it's at May 12th, I think we have time to deal with it, you know? But that's my concern. We purchased over $300,000 worth of machines, and the allocation, I just want to guarantee that it's going to be a set plan here. That's my concern.
Mr. Poirier.
In terms of district allocation, we've been making those payments for the past 2 years on time, and I think last year we gave the trust.
That is a deadline, so we really need to get on board with it because we need to, like he said, you know, some of the EB&D committee members as well as him, when they meet over there, it's their people that make that decision whether or not they're going to move forward with giving us. Is of essence, and I know now we're not going to call another meeting you're not going to have another meeting till the end of the month, April. At the same time, you're going to have a special on the constitutional reform issue, that item. So I really believe that we need to do something today, you know, to move it forward. So at least give them like he said, the numbers will come back to the full council as to how much it would be and, you know, how much it will cost. So, you know, I know tabling motion takes precedent. So I guess we'll have to wait till you run the tabling motion.
Thank you. It does, I did not acknowledge the second. I'm allowing for some discussion here. Councilman Greenwald.
I do have a concern about the language that we put in there that Craig is asking for. I think being respectful to Shakopee and stuff is maybe the wording should say where feasible, wherever feasible that and possible that our tribal membership be allowed to bid out some of these different portions of the casino, but to demand it, like Sonia said, it goes in front of about 200 and some of their tribal members. That's how they vote. Their whole tribe votes on everything. And if we get kind of tough talking, they might say, you know, sorry, we're done, see you later. Especially with the way Miko runs things over there, their attorney. So I think we need to be cautious on how we word our verbiage as well. And then what Lydia's concerns were, Lydia, you stated that our districts are missing some of our payments, and that's true. That's what we were told. We were told that in finance meetings with our treasurer there, is that we're told that we haven't received our monthly allocation in like 2 or 3 months. And so there's some kind of disconnect going on, and I think we need to answer to that between our treasurer and the casino here, because our districts really do rely on that money, and it's not a whole lot of money when it comes down to it, the little money we do get. So when we're told that there is no money coming down, we need to know what's going on, because now we got the casino manager saying we've been on time every time, but yet our treasurer is saying no, we still haven't got the money yet. So there's a breakdown somewhere, and in the meantime, our community members are the ones that suffer without, and our district suffer. So.
Can you use your mic, sir, please?
Let's vote, get it over with.
Okay. Councilman Wilson.
Okay, well, last fall, I believe in October and November, there was a resolution passed allowing Prairie Wind Casino to move forward with this, and I guess I'm not sure why it's coming back again to the body of the council when there's a standing resolution already moving ahead with this project. So to me, it's a mute issue, and Mr. Puyer needs to follow the resolution that's already in place.
Councilwoman.
Bob, I'd like to see him do that also then. If there's already a resolution, then why are we reinventing the wheel here? And, we do depend on this casino a lot. So I think that Mr. Puyer meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Puyer, you have that resolution?
I don't have it, but I can get it.
Okay. Okay, well, I do have a motion. I'll acknowledge her second. EB&D Chair.
Well, there's some time frames on here. And the only issue that was Mr. Puyer wanted to present was that to get direction from council to deal with the tribe and with Shakopee, saying that they only work with Wrangell and nobody else. But Mr. Dillon made that motion to add our contractors to that. And that's the only issue that was supposed to be presented here, but I know we're going off, with district allocations. I know those are concerns, but, sometimes our districts too, they don't submit their reports. And so those reports kind of slow their own allocation down. But, Mr. Puyer he's always released those allocations monthly. And at one time, I guess he was releasing them weekly. And so I don't know if that's still happening, but that's the only issue, just to remind council that that's all we're dealing with is just Wrangell and Shakopee. But with Shakopee, they're only going to deal with our tribal chair. So you need to be at the table too, Mr. President, when we do start talking to them. But I just kind of wanted to bring that up. That's all we're here for.
Thank you, Mr.
My question.
Yeah, she motioned to table it to bring it to the next council meeting. Correct. Continue.
Jim Meeks,
Maria. No.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
No.
Garfield Apple,
No.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
No.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Yeah.
Craig Dillon,
No.
Valerie Janice,
No.
Valentina Merdanian, Ryan Jumping Eagle,
No.
Bo Little White Man, Chancey Wilson,
No.
Richard Greenwald,
No.
Nikina Mills,
Yes.
3 yes, 10 no, 1 not voting, motion carried. Correction, motion failed, sorry. I do have a motion on the floor to add our contractors into,
Well, like Rich said, we'll include them when feasible.
okay, so at this time, Councilwoman Merdanian broke quorum, so we don't have a quorum, so I'm going to call us into recess.
Break quorum?
Yeah, so I will follow through with that, but at this time, I'm calling us into recess.
Mr. President, I don't know if it's this resolution, but it was a resolution of the Executive Committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribe approving and authorizing the general manager of the Prairie Wind Casino to proceed with an agreement with, well, that was with Woodstone Builders Incorporated for Phase 1 pre-construction services for Prairie Wind Casino and hotel renovations. Is that the one when we first gave you that?
Their attitude towards us, and that was that I could probably build you a cheap hotel like the Quad Inn, so that said, well, for that type of attitude, he was fired. So second contractor recommended by Shakopee was Cross Anderson. And unfortunately, we couldn't come to an agreement because of sovereign immunity. They didn't want to comply with our tribal laws. And Jennifer's involved in that and the casino attorney. And their recommendation said, well, we can't do it, so they just pretty much avoided that particular contractor. So the third contractor recommended is, of course, the last one is Rango. And like I said earlier, if we delay this any further, we're going to lose everything. And I don't know if that, even at April 30th meeting or whatever it is, the regular council meeting, we'll probably run out of time. Thank you.
Councilman Dillon?
I think we should add this issue to the upcoming meeting on the reform, constitutional reform, so we can address it then.
When is that?
It could be next year as far as I'm concerned, but I would like to get this addressed, so we can get this built. Thank you.
I'll get that scheduled as soon as possible.
Is it not this week though, right?
No.
Okay. I just think that you guys need to give the public a lot more time on this. And everybody's saying it, but I didn't see anything. The reform meeting.
Mr. Chair, I think there's another resolution in addition to the one that Sonia mentioned. I'm gonna go ahead and research that. My administrative assistant and I will look for that the remainder of today and tomorrow, see if we can locate that and probably work with Jennifer. But I'm positive there was another one that was passed, so I'll look for it.
Mr. Cross?
Jennifer, she got all the answers up here.
For the August 28th council meeting, if that sounds familiar. And the draft I have says resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe supporting the design and construction of a new hotel and swimming pool to replace the existing hotel at the Prairie Wind Casino and hotel location. That might be the one that you're discussing. I only have a word, the draft version. But
that's the one I'm referring to, that you just mentioned.
That's why it gives him the, go ahead and just work on it, but he's just giving us an update.
it may have been at the August 28th council meeting.
Mr. Puyer.
I'll look for that resolution, August 20th resolution, and forward it to your office and the secretary. But I still think based on that resolution, it does give me authority to proceed forward. If that's the case, I'll do so. Thank you.
Let's go. Run the vote. And what?
We already called the recess.
Before you run that vote, I think this council needs to understand that council comes first. Some of us are on education committee also, and there's a meeting this afternoon, but we're still sitting here taking care of tribal business.
Thank you. Councilwoman Merdanian.
The people are the priority, and there's meetings that I have with people as well, so I definitely appreciate it.
Thank you. So I do have a motion on the floor to, I call us out of recess at 13:49. Madam Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Jim Meeks,
Yes.
Dwayne Yellowhawk,
Yes.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Valerie Janice,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian,
No.
Ryan Jumping Eagle,
Yes.
Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nikina Mills.
No.
12 yes, 2 no. Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Puya. Yes, at this time we'll call BIA John Long forward. Sorry about that, Mr. Long.
What can I do for you folks? Besides make Julian pretty red over there.
Questions for Mr. Long?
I guess, remember, I think, John, you gave us an update at the last council meeting, and you were talking about the road maintenance, I guess under their funding or their agreement that they're the ones supposed to be working on the culverts.
Yes.
That would all be BIA, right?
Any BIA roads under that Public Law 93-608 contract for under road maintenance, they manage all BIA funded roads to include culverts. One thing I want to point out, if you guys haven't been driving around, and I have the last few days since our last meeting, about 99% of the roads and approaches that I've seen do not have culverts on them, which is why we have all of these flooding issues on these highways. So I think it's important that you guys address that in Land Committee on these home site leases, or even if you can amend it and require these permittees when the permit ends in 5 years or whatever term it ends, that you add something to your rules in Land Committee for these home site leases to add a culvert, because that's probably a large majority of our issues that we're seeing on the reservation.
Councilman Wilson?
Is there any monies for maintenance to come down with all the roads breaking up the way they are, the highways?
Like I explained to you folks last week, I participated in a conference call with senior management in DC regarding not just roads, but several issues regarding our storms. I had another call this morning at 8:30. I presented them with the issues on our BIA roads, photographs that were provided by Rod and his staff. I'm hoping that translates into funding for our road maintenance program. It also wouldn't hurt the tribe to submit a request for any additional funding for road maintenance. One of the things I stressed to the folks on the Appropriation Committee and senior management is that the funding for our road maintenance program was exhausted because of the basic 24-hour shifts that our guys were working. and I don't know where they're at as far as funding. Like I told you, the $260,000 that was loaded last week, I don't know if it's made its way to the program yet. Only the treasurer would probably be able to articulate that better than I can. But yes, if you want to submit a letter in writing to me, a request in writing to me asking for any additional funds like we typically do at the end of the fiscal year, you're welcome to do that. Like I said, I know Pine Ridge is on the radar with a lot of the folks in DC, and it's helped by Steve and Rod sending me those photographs, which you sent up actually this morning in a report to the folks in Washington. So that's about what I can suggest at this point. I did stress to them the amount of equipment that the tribe had lacking, which I think plays a large role in why the east side of the reservation was slow in getting some of the response. In addition to, the vehicles or the units, whatever you want to call them, being stuck, having all of these mechanical issues. I mean, a lot of it went into why we're having issues in addressing the east side of the reservation, but I think if you want to submit something in writing to the Bureau asking for any funding to assist your road maintenance program, I would recommend you do that.
Councilwoman Mills?
Yeah.
Send any additional funding down for our emergency needs on repairing of the BIA roads, carryovers, or any additional funding we can get.
Okay, I got a motion.
I just have a question. It doesn't have to be, I mean, that's fine, we could do a resolution today, but the president can do those letters at any time, right?
Correct, yep.
I got a motion and a second. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Jim Meeks?
Yes.
Dwayne Yellowhawk?
Yes.
Garfield Apple?
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller? Yes. James Cross? Sonia Little Hawk Weston? Ha. Craig Dillon?
Yes.
Valerie Janice?
Yes.
Valentina Mardanian?
Oh, ha.
Ryan Jumping Eagle?
Yes.
Bo Little?
We write constituents about GA funds from DC down to our BIA office down here so we could start helping people. Do you have any updates?
Checking my email as of this morning, no notification on funding for general assistance.
How about road maintenance? How about road maintenance?
Road maintenance, like I explained to you folks last week, we gave them $260,000. That was for CRs 1, 2, and 3. So that money should be in their account by now. It's just, like I said, up to the treasurer to how you folks do it internally to give them their money.
Any further questions for Mr. Long? Okay.
I do one last question.
Councilwoman.
On April 12th, we're going to meet here on the transportation piece. Could you be present so you can kind of be part of our planning
Sure.
process?
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn, second by Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston. Secretary, call. They removed it. They're moving it to the special. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Jim Meeks?
Yes.
Dwayne Yellowhawk?
Yes.
Garfield Apple?
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller?
Yes.
James Cross? Sonia Little Hawk Weston?
Ha.
Craig Dillon?
Yes.
Valerie Janice?
Yes.
Valentina Mardanian? Oh, huh. Ryan Jumping Eagle?
Yes.
Bo Little White Man?
Yes.
Chauncey Wilson?
Yep.
Richard Greenwald?
Yes.
Nikina Mills?
Yes.
14 yes, unanimous, motion carried. Meeting adjourned at 13:58.
Can we make sure we never have baked hamburger again?
Mr. Yellowhawk, will you give us a closing prayer, please?
Okay.